I want to thank everyone for coming and joining us today to talk about how we can bring portable power to the African continent. And with New Use Energy's portable power products, we have a lot of really interesting and fun things to offer to allow you guys to meet your goals for portable power wherever you need it. My name is John Weber. I'm the VP of Sales here at New Use Energy. I've had the opportunity to travel around the world, visiting over 30 countries to provide training and support in the renewable energy industry and support projects on the African continent. And I'll tell you one of those stories as we go through this today. The main goal that I want to leave you with today is how to engage with New Use Energy on your portable projects for power. And so that can be domestic and staging here in North America, or direct delivery over to Africa. And we're able to support a broad variety of storage and power options. So buckle up and let's do this. So deploying the right power means that we are bringing portable energy to natural disasters, being able to bring power if you're doing new construction and not having to depend on the grid or the generator. With we're seeing load shedding and power outages throughout African continent. It can be very difficult to meet some of your building needs as well as just what you guys are trying to do as NGOs in the African continent or anywhere around the world. What we're going to allow you to do is be able to bring that power where you would like, and we can help you design it out. So New Use, our mission really is to replace portable gas generators with a renewable energy source. Also, we can help out, again, if you're experiencing as an NGO locations where you're just having those load shedding events or just don't have reliable grid, knowing that you can bring this power pack with you, these portable power devices with you, and be able to deploy them anywhere in the world, and know that you're going to have reliable power that can be charged from solar or from a AC source, is a very powerful tool. And with most modern needs that we have today, we definitely need to make sure that we have our power with us. So New Use Energy has been around for approximately 4 years. Paul Schmodoloko, our CEO, and Lee Feliciano were our founders and have a long history in the renewable energy and power market. We have several others within our organization, from Lita to Eric to Carlos and a handful of others that are experts on renewables and experts on being able to, again, bring that portable power. And of course, myself, I've been in the industry for about 13 years, working with a variety of different companies and ideas about bringing portable power to those locations. So thank you so much for joining us. Any one of us is willing and happy to help you out with your project. So take note of these names. You may be talking to us very soon. With New Use Energy, we do provide that professional grade quality product. We aren't just another product that's out there that you can order through Amazon. We really differentiate ourselves as something that's rapidly deployable, that it's rugged, and you're able to take it where you would like. So we do build this for professional users, meaning that in the film and lighting industry, or for medical needs in Ukraine, we're providing equipment that is going into trenches, and in a modern mobile military warfare situation, we're able to provide for hospitals and a lot of other really, really great products. One thing that I do want to talk about is how we bring that power to you guys. With New Use Energy's full product line, we have anything from our SunKits, which allows you to bring deployable power that's maybe semi-permanent or fully permanent. We have wheels on these units, or we can just use standard footers on this, all the way up to our SunCase units and our trailer systems. All this is powered, as you can see here, with solar panels that are through our foldable solar power pack, and we are providing a broad range of storage options for some of those retrofits. So one of the things to note is if you have been using portable power, you're a little bit familiar with it, or you've had projects in the past and you're looking at some of those old batteries that are sitting out in the African continent, we can actually help you design and size a replacement battery system. So that's one of the other great things that we do here at New Use Energy, is ensure that not only for new projects and products, we have something, but even for some of your old stuff, maybe you're looking to do some upgrades to some old AGM or lead acid batteries, and you're looking to get something a little more reliable, a little less murder proof, if you will, than a traditional lead acid battery. Lithium has some great specifications to it that allow you to get more power out of that same block of energy, more cycles, more life, and more applications we can do with lithium. One of the things that we do want to talk about when we're talking about the African continent, again, is that load shedding idea. We have a lot of remote sites, and we also have consequences because of those power outages. A lot of the research that I did in preparation for this, it kept coming back over and over again that load shedding has a direct correlation to essentially criminal activity and risk to assets that you have in country, meaning that when you lose power, people tend to feel a little more emboldened in the dark to take what they would like. And having been to Nigeria, where if it ain't bolted down, it's probably going to wander off because, you know, the lifestyle and the needs of the people is one where they try to get resources wherever they can. And sometimes that's infrastructure. Sometimes that is personal items of other people's that are being taken. So that was a transition you saw of Johannesburg during load shedding. Again, with power requirements for Africa, one of the most important parts that we're wanting to make sure we leave you behind with you is that we are providing quality power to the needs that you have. Again, mentioned in Ukraine that we're supplying both on the battlefield as well in the hospitals and humanitarian efforts. Being able to know that the quality of product that's being deployed there is better than a generator, the power that's coming out of it is cleaner, and it's also mobile, so you can keep a hold of those assets, but you need to depend on those things. And we've done extensive testing with our products to ensure that when we deploy with you on your projects, that you know it's just going to work. And because we have a variety of different sizes, probably the most important part of that is to understand that we can likely design and build something out for exactly what you need. One of the stories that I love to tell is this opportunity that I had to travel over to Kenya, to Lake Victoria in Nadeja Island, and got to bring power to this very, very remote site. And it didn't have to be a giant system. This is a fairly small system at just 10 kilowatts of solar and 400 amp hours of batteries in a single inverter inside or on this island. And what that allowed the customers to have access to, the people of the island to have access to, is a quality of power they've never had before. And what this allowed them to do was have unprecedented economic growth. The result was that when they deployed this system, they were being charged $1 per kilowatt hour, and that's US dollars. But this system allowed people to have access to inexpensive lighting, inexpensive services. They had a movie theater there. They had actually a little bar and a couple salons that have now grown even more. The way they used to run all of this stuff was off of a series of generators, and the cost of fuel to bring it out to this remote island was it was expensive. And so even at $1 per kilowatt hour, this island system is be able to provide over 100 customers or families usage on that island. And part of that model was a self-sustaining idea that as they're being charged the consumption of this power, those monies are being set aside so that they can actually incorporate power and make future purchases to keep the system up and going. So the economic benefits, and as well having a plan to ensure that that system's going to last, and if it needs anything, that they have dollars that are being generated by the system, is a very important and interesting way to understand how you can bring a system to these remote sites. And actually, when you're talking to your funders, they love to hear ideas that this is a self-sustaining system. So that is an important idea when we talk about how we can bring power to these remote locations. Be it a domestic or international NGO, we have a lot of case studies where we've already deployed, and we'll tell a few more of those stories about communications. Again, those medical facilities and equipment, refrigeration for vaccines and whatnot is absolutely important. And even having reserve power for people who are traveling international is also part of that story. So we have a huge pipeline, and we're growing every day with our domestic and international NGOs for deployments around the world. So we have the experience to help you size out that system and have experience to ensure that we are going to be the right product for what you need. Some of the sample applications that we have already in the field is NGOs with office backup power. We can talk about how we can get it to run. If you've got laptops, you've got computers, you've got refrigerators, you've got medical equipment, we can power all that. If you're an NGO who's doing Bible translations, we've worked with, or I've personally worked with in the past, companies that have used our equipment just because the number of power outages that are experienced on the African continent is so great that they would almost get nothing done if they didn't have that backup power. So making sure that we have power for your offices, for your deployed employees is a very important part of that story, and being able to take it with you. So the other part of it is I've been in countries where unfortunately there's been a lot of unrest in sort of outside of the main cities. And that has also resulted in some unfortunate and very tragic events that had power been able to be deployed out there. I think we could have probably saved more lives, both on the vaccine as well as like blood delivery and things like that. We know that water is one of the most important parts of a lot of NGOs, being able to either deliver clean water, agriculture water, and solar water pumping is definitely something that we have quite a bit of experience with, and we can help design larger systems for deployment. It could get up into a 10 or 20-foot container that has everything integrated inside. But we definitely have the capacity and capabilities of helping you guys do those large power projects. And again, all the way down to those sort of smaller projects. Oops. Gosh. Come on. There we go. With our use cases, we've got a lot of different companies that we're already working with, both here in the United States as well as around the world. So I just want to give you confidence that what you're trying to do, what your goals are as an NGO to bring power to those remote locations, we've probably already done it, or one of our partners has. And so we can definitely help you design, create, and deploy a system wherever you need it. In the African continent, if we look back at either issues down in South Africa, or we look at some of the more common countries in Ethiopia, Nigeria, Uganda, Kenya, Malawi, we have products that have been deployed and experienced in those countries to help make sure that you are getting what you need. One of the things that I love, I've been in this industry, as I said, for about 13 years. And one of the things that we've seen is a shrinking of products, meaning that the same power output from an inverter 15 years ago is now a third the weight and half the size than something that we had many, many years ago. And that has resulted in part because of the North American boom. We have a lot of lower cost products. And again, they're smaller. And we can deploy those. And as well, with a lot of technologies on the PV side, we have our foldable panels, we have our deployable panels, but sometimes the standard glass panels make a lot of sense. Mounting those up in a semi-permanent situation like you see down in the bottom left corner is a good example of ways to bring power to locations on a little more permanent basis if you don't need to be portable. But we can definitely help you be portable wherever you need it. And again, I found that photo on the bottom right very compelling, because it really is when you first go out to these sites and you deploy power for the first time, and it's a personal joy to watch somebody flip a light switch on and off about 100 times as they just make sure, so this is really going to work. Yep, it's really going to work. So this light switch is always going to turn on when I flip it. It really is. And that is a very foreign concept and idea to a lot of people in emerging markets. And so being able to bring that joy to people and be able to make that type of difference of just simple lighting, never mind, vaccines and refrigeration and everything else, even just something like simple lighting is something that we're experts at, and we can help you guys deploy either on a room by room basis, a building by building basis, or even up to small villages can be powered with our equipment to bring that all together. As we've talked about with reliability, one of the most important parts is ensuring that what we're providing is able to do what we say it does. And when we talk about hospitals and clinics in Ukraine, we're providing key infrastructure pieces to people who are in desperate need of reliable power, with the infrastructure being damaged there on a daily basis from drone attacks and just military operations. Having reliable power changes lives for the better, and not being dependent on sort of soft targets of gasoline, being able to deploy just a simple fold out panel up on a roof or out of a window, knowing that you're managing and keeping track of those assets is very, very important. And we have a lot of stories. If you head over to our Facebook page for New Use Energy, you can see a lot of these stories live, and you can see a lot of personal interest stories about the war in Ukraine in particular, and how we've been supplying not only in the trenches for drone warfare and other things like that, but we've also been able to deploy into hospitals and be able to provide very, very reliable power in situations where power is no longer available. Again, you guys already saw this slide, and I apologize. With portable power, tool construction, emergency management, and even doing special events. We've actually set up and powered for VIPs to come, and ensuring that we had clean, reliable power during that experience and that visit is also part of the story to tell, because we are trying to entice donors. We're trying to entice people to be part of what we're doing. And so special events doesn't mean that, we're rocking out like that picture maybe indicates. It could just be a special event because you have VIPs coming in, and you want to make sure that they are comfortable and that they enjoy the experience, and they want to be part of what you're doing as an NGO. So that is part of what reliable power is going to bring you. When we talk about reliable power, one of the first questions that we ask, and we're going to get in the meat and potatoes here, is understanding what your needs are. There's quite a few different ways that we can help support you on understanding what those loads are. On the right-hand side, we can see there's some just sort of basic understanding of loads. And we can also see number of hours used. What we call that is duty cycle, which means that, you're not going to run your vacuum cleaner for hours and hours on end, but you might run a vacuum cleaner for 15 minutes. And that's kind of what's reflected there inside that list, is just how people use it. Somebody really loves their VCR. If they're going to watch that for 8 hours a day, they're watching a few movies as they go. So those types of loads are important to understand. Different countries typically have different sized machines and washing machines and things like that. So just be mindful that this is not the list, but we can help you. And one of the ways we can help you is with this small metering device. These are very inexpensive. They're about $10 off Amazon. You can find them just about anywhere. And this allows you to measure the amount of power that's being consumed off devices. These, again, are a very low cost way that we can help support you in understanding what your loads are. A couple of these units sent out to a location and different things plugged in, and somebody just writing down what those are is a great first step to understanding what you're trying to do, what your goals are. If it's refrigeration, then you may want to leave these units monitored for a few days so that you really understand when we're sizing out the system and ensuring that our loads are matching to the storage and to the solar, what it's capable of doing. So data collection is a key and important part of it. One of the things that I do love about the New Use Energy product line is that we are very expandable. So you can actually start out with a simple system, and we can add more storage. Even with our smaller portable units, they have a tremendous amount of solar capacity compared to the size of the unit that it is. And so we have that room to expand not only on the storage side, but we can very likely help you expand out on the photovoltaic side and ensuring that we're putting the right amount of solar in. And if we didn't quite get it right, making sure that we have enough designed headroom so that you can add more capacity. My own personal experience in that is that typically you start out with X loads. And then once everybody figures out, hey, this is very convenient, easy to access power, people start bringing all sorts of crazy things to the site. And so making sure that you're managing not only the site, but the loads as well is an important part of the story and ensuring that we provide security. And one of the things that I do like about our products is most of them are portable. So you can take that power with you. You can move it into a locked room and plug it in and leave it charged. You know, there's a versatility that you just don't get when you start looking at some of the other options that are out there where it's a hard and fast install. You don't get as much latitude. But with the new use products, we're able to bring that all together. For grants and resources with new use energy, there are quite a few grants and resources that we're happy to help you guys understand and fill out. One of the things that we're great at is creating the documentation that you're going to need. So if you are putting together a proposal for one of your donors or you're putting it together for a grant, we're happy to help you guys out with reviewing that paperwork, ensuring that you have the latest pricing and that you're ready to make that purchase based on the support that we've given you. And we really want to make sure that you have those right resources. Definitely check out our website. We have a lot of our spec sheets, our marketing documents, our case studies, all tell a story about how we're able to bring portable power to it. And again, if you do have a grant, if you do have some paperwork that you're filling out, and you're not quite sure what to put into a box, or you're trying to size a system out and understand it, reach out to us. You can at sales@newuseenergy.com, and we're happy to engage with you on making sure that you have exactly the right information. One of the things that we do have to be mindful of and worry about is making sure that we're doing it correctly and the right way. One of the most important things that I see in my travels around the world is incorrectly installed and incorrectly deployed equipment. And we'll show you in a few minutes exactly what New Use Energy is capable of doing. But this is not what we want to see. We don't want to see batteries stacked on top of each other where you can't do the maintenance, you can't get at and do things like basic tightening of bolts, making sure that your conductors are secured, or even just checking the water on your batteries. You don't have to do that with lithium, but in this case, I don't know how this person was going to actually manage this system. The beauty of the new use products and the big differentiator is we build complete systems that are very straightforward and simple to use. So you don't have to worry about this. You don't have to worry that it's going to be done incorrectly because we're going to deliver you a product that is complete and done. And we do take it very, very seriously. Now, this is an old example that I've used for many, many years, kind of contrasting the previous wiring where everything was stacked on top. But we do take pride in making sure that what you're getting is a product that's ready to go and it's simple to service and it's simple to use. One of the things that is important to us and should be important to you is making sure that you know exactly where your system is going and being able to keep track of it. One of my favorite things about New Use is that we have the ability to add GPS tracking. So if you're deploying either in North America for staging to Africa, or talk to us about a GPS unit for Africa because they use a slightly different radio system for their cellular connections, we can work with you on making sure that you can keep track of those assets through GPS tracking. It's very easy to add it to most of our products, and this is going to allow you to see exactly where it's at and be able to track it and keep that inventory safe so that if it does start to wander off on you, you may have a chance of actually getting it back. So this is very, very important part of the story with New Use is that we're ensuring that not only are we portable, that you can actually keep track of your portable products. The SunCase 2425 and the 3651 really are our flagship products. These are the units that are ready to go out of the box. You may want to top off the charge and that's about it. We have kept our products purposefully straightforward and very simple. There's not programming, there's not setup, there's literally charge and go with these units. We can work with you on expanded ideas if you need that. But if you're just like, John, all I really need is to plug into something, I'm willing to push a couple of buttons to get it going, what do you got? And that's where the SunCase really fits in, is once we've shipped it over to Africa and you're ready to deploy it, you have the confidence to know that either a one-man or two-man lift, you're ready to deploy it. We do supply it at 110 and also 230-volt versions of this product. It says 110 here, but we also have a 230-volt 50 hertz unit as well, ready to deploy. And we're ready to help you guys. For the SunCase 3651, again, this is a nice Pelican case system. What really differentiates us from sort of the rest of the market that's out there is that we have a very robust, flexible enclosure for this unit. So the normal dings and bumps that happen, I've been to Africa, I've driven down those roads, and I have seen what it takes to get to some of these very, very remote locations. They said it was only 100 kilometers away, but it still took us 4 hours to get there because of the roads that we had to go on. And knowing that you put one of these units into the back of your rig and are able to take it with you as a mobile office or for medical equipment or whatever you're trying to do while you're out there, what a great way to bring a product that you know is going to take the bumps and kicks along the way. We do also work in the film industry and in the rental film industry, where they tend to abuse things a little bit. And these units have survived falling literally off of the back of a truck with no issues whatsoever. So this is the type of products that we really think is a great match to Africa and for NGOs who are needing to have something that is basic and straightforward, but also very versatile and very, very powerful. This is a simple product. And as I keep saying that over and over again, I really wanted to impress on you that there's not a lot to be done. With our 3651, it has a basic output that's going to allow you to feed power to whatever loads they are. If it's, again, medical equipment, if it's, again, you're looking to do construction, we've run air compressors off of this, we've run welders off of this unit. All you need is to make sure that it's charged up. If you don't have access to charging, we can actually add up to 1.7 kW of solar. And it's a pretty straightforward setup. You would definitely want to work with us. We would be able to make sure that you're getting the correct panels. We can talk to you about how to mount if it's a semi-permanent install versus a fully permanent install. We can help you guys understand exactly what you would need to put together a complete kit of product for that. And if you're experiencing, we're working with companies around the world, and we're seeing this load shedding happening, not only here in North America, Central America, South America, Africa, that people are losing power and they can't depend on it anymore. And so with these units, we don't necessarily need solar. With these units, we can actually provide just a UPS style backup where we're charging from the unit, you turn it on, you use it, and then you plug it in and you get it ready to go for the next day. If you happen to experience a power outage during that time, it was in charge and you just simply keep going. So it's a very easy way to do that. And that's really, one of the benefits that we were able to show when we were in Zomba, Malawi, is we were able to power medical equipment down there for blood suction machines, satellite communications, maternity wards, and the equipment that's required to actually do the lab testing for different diseases and things like that. So from personal power to medical equipment, we really think that this is a key market for that. Now, some of you may say, well, John, that feels a little bit big. Do you have something a little bit smaller that's going to fit into there? And we do. This is a much smaller unit. This is more in the bread box size of things. And again, this is a simple system that has a great display. If I were to turn that around from the plugs, you'd see a nice display on it. It's telling you exactly what your loads, your state of charge, and everything else. And again, this is a very similar system that's going to provide that backup power. I actually use one of these units when I'm in the office to run my laptop and my monitor, just so I have the practical experience. But then I also know that a laptop and a monitor really only draws about 100 watts. So what does that mean for me? At 100 watts on a 2 kilowatt hour battery, that's 20 hours of runtime all the time at 100 watts. And my laptop's a little bit less than that, but that would mean that if I was just running my laptop at, let's say, 25 watts to do some things, now I have hundreds of hours to be able to use this product. So sometimes you don't need something big, you just need something small and practical. And again, the beauty of this product is that it is able to take solar. This is not a correct number, so we'll just remove that. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, guys. So it is a 1.2 kW inverter with either 1.2 kilowatt hours of storage or 1.2 kW inverter with 2 kilowatt hours of storage. And again, I'll fill this out when we go to share it. But what I really want to make sure that you understand is this is a smaller application. When we talk about solar and being able to bring it in, we have a few different options that we can help you guys do that. Again, we can do the glass panels, or we can do something like the SunTarp family, which is we have a 3 and a 6 panel setup. These are lightweight. The 6 panel setup is a 420 watts, which is going to allow you to bring, again, I said my laptop was only, and monitor was only drawing 100 watts, which means that if you had 4 of those systems and you had just one of these tarps, you would be able to run that system and offset while the sun is shining pretty much all of those loads, and then still have the full capacity of any of our units available to you. And what's great about this is if you are mobile, if you are taking this to locations that you need, it is very, very easy to deploy. We'll work with you on making sure that we have the connections wired to match what your system's doing. But this is something that you can easily unfold, a quick plug into the side, and now you're ready to run whatever tools and whatnot that you need. And in just a few minutes, you can bring all this, pack it up, throw it in the back of your rig, and take it with you. This is a great little case study that we have. This is one of our a little bit older unit. We still have some. This is the SunCase 2025. This was our Gen 3 product. I believe we're on to our Gen 4 products. This unit we used in my own backyard to run a welder as well as a grinder. And we've been able to use this at my house when we had a power outage here in the Phoenix area. And it was a great way to power the Wi-Fi router, which was drawing a measly 20 watts. So that's, again, days and days and days of communications. So satellite communications, welding, grinding, medical equipment. We can run all these from these very, very quick to deploy, throw it in the back of your rig, get out to where you're going, and take it with you. If you do need something bigger, then we do have our SunKit 5050. And this is a unit that has a 5 kilowatt hour battery. It also has a 5 kW inverter inside. So this is a much bigger, heavy lifting unit. We can work with you on expanding out the storage for this unit to take it where you would like, and be able to add more of that storage. So at 5,000 watts of solar, that's 25 kilowatt hours of potential production that we have each day. And so that means that adding more batteries to a semi-permanent install is a great way to bring that in. And here we can see a couple different examples. You can see a couple different generations of our products here as it's grown. But we've been able to deploy these around the world to know that it's just going to work and it's just going to do what you need it to do. So what are some of your next steps that we'd like to do? The first and foremost is think about what your projects are. Think about what your power needs are, and we're happy to engage with you directly on what those requirements are, what your goals are, and then we'll be able to help design around a little bit of education on the load sizing and things like that to ensure that what you're ordering does what it does. We also want to help you make sure that you understand what your costs and budgets are. And that's something, again, that we can provide for you guys, be it through a quote, an invoice, whatever you need, along with whatever paperwork you need. We can definitely help you guys get that squared away so that when you do submit for funding for your different projects, that you have all the right stuff. And I do want to make sure that we touch again, being able to do asset management, being able to know where these units are, anywhere in the world is a huge benefit. And we can help you do it for North America as well as for the rest of the world, that GPS tracking. If you, as a user of the product, just want to understand what it's doing, there is a great Bluetooth app that lets you actually see inside the unit and exactly what those loads are, how the battery's doing. Is it too hot? Is it too cold? You'll be able to see all that through our Bluetooth app. So there's a lot of different ways that we can help manage and maintain your systems. And then as well, one unit may not be enough. And the reason that I press on this idea of making sure that you have the units that you're using is that downtime, especially if you're on a critical mission, is unacceptable. And stuff happens. Things break, things fall off the back of rigs, things disappear. Making sure that you have enough of those resources and that you're asking for more than just one, but several is also a key part of it, because the integrated lithium inside these units means that we can't just fly something across the world to you, but it does need to come traditionally by ship rather than being flown, ensuring that you have not only the product that you need for now, but replacement product is also a key source and requirement that you have for yourself. So I really want to encourage you, the listener, to think about not only what you need right now, but what you need for the future, and having enough reserve for everything else. The reason I'm going so fast, I do want to make sure that we have some time for questions and comments and things like that. Please reach out to me. Please reach out to us. Check out our Facebook page for more of the stories that we're telling, how we're working with NGOs already, the filming and lighting industry, the military applications that we have for drone deployment and forward operating bases in Ukraine, and the medical partnerships that we have with hospitals in Ukraine as well as around the world, making sure that they have reliable power wherever they need it. I think I'm doing pretty good. I promised that we'd leave about 20 minutes for questions and comments. So we have a couple of questions that are in there. How do you handle maintenance and repairs for remote systems? Is there training for local technicians? Because of the beauty of the internet, we are happy to set up times, and I'm willing to do a training at 9 o'clock at night if the time zones require it, to make sure that technicians on site get the thorough training that they need on how to operate the unit, how to use the Bluetooth app and get inside the unit and collect data so that they can understand what they're seeing, and if they need any help from New Use Energy, the right questions to ask, or even the right data to provide so that we can ask the right questions is an important part of that. So if the project is large enough, if you wanted to order a couple hundred units for what you're doing internationally, yes, if we have an MOQ, we would be willing to travel for a couple hundred units anywhere in the world to help you get your local technicians trained up. We got another question. What makes your systems better or more capable than the numerous qualified solar and energy companies throughout Africa? What we do is deployed portable power. And so I know there are a lot of great installers. I may have actually met some of them in my travels throughout the African continent and done trainings with them. And there are some very talented people out there. Traditionally, what they're providing is more permanent installs. And while we can do that and work with those local installers to bring it all together, oftentimes NGOs are much more comfortable with putting together materials here in North America and managing those assets here before shipping them over to Africa. So the big difference is yes, leveraging knowledgeable and qualified installers in Africa is a fantastic idea. If you're looking to do a permanent install on a school or a hospital or a church or a mosque, which I've done projects like that in the past. But if you're looking for something that you can just throw in the back of the rig, take where you need it to go, bring it back with you so you can use it in the evening time for yourself, because that's what you're trying to do is provide reliable power, not only to the locations you're visiting, but for your own personal needs. This is a great way to do that. So I would split the two ideas that there are a lot of great installers, but we're talking really about portable deployable power that may not need a solar installer at all. You just need to be able to unfold the tarp, and now you've got your own deployed solar.
John, Dustin here from Rossman Media. I'm curious, how easy is it to use the SunCase that you mentioned, and for people who do not particularly read English?
That is a very good question. So, with our spec sheets and things like that, we are willing to do translations for projects if necessary, but also partly the training side of things is getting people familiar. Most of the plugs on the outside of the units are color coded, so you can't plug it into the wrong thing because literally the plug won't accept anything but that appropriate plug. On the top of the units themselves, in particular, when we talk about the um, SunCases, those units are very straightforward. USB ports, everybody knows what those are. And then the AC plugs, they definitely know what those are as well. Probably the biggest challenge is ensuring that when people are looking at the app, that is in English, and understanding also the display on the top, which is in English, but there's a big fuel meter on the top that's going to show you your state of charge, how much juice you have left in the unit. So there's a lot of intuitiveness to those units, and that's, I think, part of the story to tell with New Use Energy is that the products are straightforward enough that you don't need to be a solar expert. You just need to know where to plug things in, and then be able to understand with your own expectations what that load is to ensure that you are running the load when you want it, and understanding how long it will last.
So, do we have to use solar? We all know load shedding can be a really big issue, and really just need the reliable backup.
Yeah, solar is really a secondary option. Most of our use cases, solar is, I would say, used 15% of the time. Most of the time, people are using it in this sort of load shedding. They have access to AC power some of the time, and it's the in betweens that they're looking to have reliable backup power that they can just plug in. And that's where all of our equipment really matches well with those load shedding events. When you have that charger plugged in, when the grid comes back, it's simply going to just start providing power and charging that battery up again. So it's a pretty seamless experience. I got another great question here. How a typical sales case works from the initial customer call to commissioning and aftercare, especially for remote regions in Africa. So typically our sales cycle is we'll do an initial intake call, if you will. We'll talk about what the loads are, what your goals are with the system. Once we've got that figured out and the product is chosen, typically we'll work with you on shipping it to your favorite port. We can also help with international shipments. Typically, our methodology is to ship it to the port of entry that you're looking at, and then having you guys bring it across into the country of choice that way. Afterwards, we all have WhatsApp. We're all willing to get on some pretty crazy times to make sure that things are being taken care of and covered. So if questions come up, we're a WhatsApp call away. When you get into the hyper remote locations, that's where we would spend a little bit of extra time with you on training to make sure that you really intimately understand that product. The Bluetooth app does not require, once it's downloaded, any internet. So if you're truly fully remote and there's not a cell tower in sight or within receiving range, you can still see what that system is doing either through its displays or through the app itself. And if you have any questions or whatnot, you can ring us through WhatsApp once you get back into cell phone range, and we can make arrangements to cover any questions that may come up. Do we have any other questions? For Dustin, were there any other questions that were posed?
How long does it take to deliver?
Yeah, so we have a lot of our product in stock in Washington State or down here where I am in Arizona. And so getting something out the door is nearly immediate. If you do have an exceptionally large order, you're looking to deploy pallets worth of product, then we work with our manufacturing partner to bring those over. Typically, it's about 90 days from the order to delivery to the port. That takes into account time on the water as well as manufacturing and putting that system together. So that is something to keep in mind. We do have smaller ready to deploy product, but if you need large quantities, it's about 90 days to port.
John, really quick, obviously with regard to the environment in Africa and whatnot, will a unit survive the harsh treatment in Africa? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. As we've described a little bit from maybe not so great roads, especially once we get outside the big cities and we're working with remote villages. It's a pretty bumpy ride most of the time. And then you get into the monsoon seasons and the heavy rains and the washed out roads. And now people are carefully picking their way along. Africa is just a harsh environment. It is what it is. And so we already have, as we've shown, equipment deployed in the African continent, and it is doing very, very well. And partly our big differentiation between a lot of the other products out there is our choice of plastics. Now, you wouldn't think that that's a big deal, but the feedback that we've gotten, in particular from the rental industry, film industry, and from NGOs in the African continent, is some of those cheaper products that have that very rigid ABS style body on them, they just don't take the bumps and the bounces very well. The plastic is it shatters easily, it cracks easily. And one of the choices that we made went by putting it into a Pelican style case and actually making sure that we have a little bit of room around the outside edges is to ensure that those bumps and licks that occur as we're deploying these units, the internal components are well protected, even with a harsh bump that causes the plastic to flex on the outside of the case. It's very unlikely that will cause any damage to the internal components of the unit. Honestly, the thing that I see sort of happening with our units would be somebody taking the unit and not carrying it, but taking the wheels across broken earth, rocks, and things like that, and maybe damaging those wheels. We strongly recommend that if you're going to go remote, and our one unit is 110 pounds, and that's the 3651. That's something that you would potentially want to just put on a small hand cart to get it around a little bit easier. And if you're taking it over harsh ground, you have to park down below and walk up a quarter mile of a hill. You're probably going to want something to help you take it with you. And we've tested a few different designs around hand carts, foldable hand carts, and we can actually help you source those. So it's a very robust product with a little bit of mindfulness that survivability rate's going to go way up. One of the questions that's come out is, how do we order? How do we order a product? The typical sales cycle is again, answer that a little bit, where we talk about the equipment being designed and sized for what your goals are with it. And then once you're ready to place the order, it's very simple. We'll have a quote over to you, and then we'll send you over an invoice. And then we make payment very, very easy. Typically, it's just done through an ACH transfer is the preferred method, but we can also work on international transfers as well. Once payment's received, we just work with you, making sure that everything's squared away. We have the right paperwork so that you can bring it into country, and we put it on a pallet, and away we go. We can ship, but we also work with logistics companies. So oftentimes when NGOs are getting ready to stage to send equipment over, to save money, instead of sending one or two things at a time, they'll try to fill a container before sending it over. These units do a very nice job of going into that idea because we can pre-palletize it. Everything comes already in a cardboard box with our Sun cases and our power packs. And so you can easily get those units just inside of a 20-foot container, and away you go. So, and then from there, we'd work with you on unboxing and making sure that everything's copacetic. Once it's on site, we'll do a full follow-up call with you to make sure that you have everything you need and answer any upfront questions. Yeah, to answer the question, we typically work with, when we're working with NGOs, we do prepay for those. The one exception would be if you have a very, very large order that you're putting together, then we would work with you on a payment schedule. When I say large order, we're talking multiple pallets of product going out. We would have an upfront charge for equipment. And then once the equipment's done and built, we would have another milestone to pay on for the remainder. So that's typically how we would do it, is enough to build it and then enough to finish out the payment. I think we may have time for one more question.
You probably already mentioned this, and if you did, I apologize, but how do we purchase a test unit before shipping out to Africa?
Yeah, so we will work with you on putting together special pricing for that test unit. We do travel around the U.S. fairly regularly, so if you happen to be in the Washington or Arizona area, it's very easy for us to visit you. But we can also invite you guys to come out and join us, or potentially we can ship a unit for testing here in North America. When it gets to shipping test products to the African continent, the shipping costs alone don't ever justify bringing it back. And so in that case, we would strongly encourage that even a test unit, while we can provide a small discount, it would be a purchased unit. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming. My phone number right there, please note it and write it down. That is also my WhatsApp number. So if you do have a project, you're in Africa or you're here in North America, and you're very curious about how you can bring portable power and generator alternatives to what your efforts are in the African continent or any other locations that your NGO is putting efforts into, reach out to us. We're happy to help walk you through the process, see what matches, and help design the right system for your application, while keeping in mind that you have donors and other people that want to understand. One thing that I do want to point out that has been successful in the past with a different company that I was working with on the NGO side was this paired partner program, meaning that when somebody purchases a system for maybe their North American needs as a donor, they're also purchasing a system that will go over to the African continent. It's a great way to have people feel like they're involved, that they're using the same equipment that the NGO is using somewhere else, and people feel like they're getting a bonus. Now, that brings the price up quite a bit, but it's a great way to engage people on a power partner pricing program to get product to people who would like to feel involved in the system. And we can work with you guys as NGOs. If you have a big project and you're like, gosh, is there some marketing materials you can send to some of our donors? There's this one guy, he's a really big deal. Those types of things, we're very happy to help support you. We know that as a young company, we need to support marketing efforts, and it's a really fun and easy way to engage is to have us help you engage with some of your donors on presenting equipment, presenting ideas, and potentially doing something like that partner program that I mentioned. Okay, well, thank you everyone for joining us on this Friday, the 28th. I really appreciate everyone's time, and I'm very excited to see how we can help you bring power to your system. So please send me an email, give me a WhatsApp message if you're over in Africa, and let's set up a time to have a chat and learn about how we can support you guys on your power efforts in the African continent, both for maybe personal use or for the uses of your NGO.